Thank you very much, and it's wonderful to be here in Berlin. It's actually my first time in the city, so thank you for the warm welcome. Can I just do a little straw poll, first of all? How many people here have actually been to Ireland? Excellent, nearly half. You should be proud of yourselves. That's terrific. Well, my job is by the end of this that the other half of you will be excited about going, and you're going to travel there in 2011. I'll know I've done my job if that's the case. So my name is Niall Gibbons. I work with Tourism Ireland, and Tourism Ireland is the organisation that was set up on what was known as the Good Friday Agreement. It was a peace agreement between North and South 12 years ago. And it brought together the functions of what was the Irish Tourist Board and the Northern Ireland Tourist Board into one company to market the island of Ireland overseas as a tourism destination. How important is tourism to the island of Ireland? It's extremely important. There's about nearly between 5.5 and 6 million people living on the island. But in terms of visitor numbers, last year we have 6.65 million unique visitors. About half of those come from Great Britain, just under 900,000 from North America, over 2 million from mainland Europe, and about 340,000 from what we call other markets, new and developing markets such as India, China, Japan, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. Overseas tourism is vital to us. We're an island on the periphery of Europe, and overseas tourism accounts for about 59% of all revenue. Tourism is really important because out of those 6.6 million visitors, they contribute 4% to GDP. And more importantly, they account for 200,000 jobs. It is the largest indigenous employer across the whole island of Ireland. And whereas a factory can come into one town, tourism is spread around every county, every town, every village. And it's seen as a very sustainable type of industry. What I'm just going to talk about today are three things. First of all, just the background and history to the evolution of the tourism brand within Ireland, an overview and show you just some of our marketing, and really looking forward as we've come through what is one of the most difficult economic climates in Europe and around the globe, and the impact that it has on tourism, and really just asking the question, where do we go from here? So just by way of background and history, tourism in Ireland isn't something that started with Tourism Ireland. It started a long time ago. This is the earliest publication that I have in the office at the moment. It's a 1786 post-chaise companion to Ireland, which is a little guide of every town and village, and it was already putting places on the map from a tourism perspective. So George in Dublin, for those of you who have been to Dublin, was only been built around this time. So the development of a brand is something that's taken a long, long time. In 1852, a year after the Great Exhibition in London, it came to Ireland. And the big selling point in Cork was the fact that there was going to be hot and cold running water all day long. Colour publications coming in around the end of the 1880s, and the dubiously entitled Sunny Side to Ireland, which we don't find every day, but it does come. It's something that was there, but this is when the railways started to come into Ireland, and railways were seen as an aspect of tourism in terms of delivering people around to different parts of the island. After the partition of Ireland in 1921, both jurisdictions went their own way from a tourism perspective. And the Irish Tourist Association, there's a publication from 1929, and the Northern Ireland Tourist Board started to produce publications extolling the virtues of their own part of the island. In 1956, the explosion of airlines, with Aer Lingus came on the scene, who started to get involved in the marketing scene. And I was going to say it became a bit more sophisticated, but this is sort of traditional imagery that became associated with Ireland around that time. In the 40 years, marketing became more sophisticated, but by 1996, there was a growing realization that marketing Ireland separately didn't really make sense. And a group of people came together and formed what was called the Overseas Tourism Marketing Initiative and launched what was known as Tourism Brand Ireland. And it was an attempt to bring two parts of the island that had been separated for 80 years together from a tourism experience to market the island as one. Moving on to 1998, the Good Friday Agreement was a very historical part of the development of politics on the island of Ireland, and it meant people voting for a peace agreement between both parts of the island, which again from a tourism perspective was a very exciting development because it put us on the world stage from a very positive perspective, and we had a vehicle there to deliver what was Tourism Brand Ireland, and hence the formation of the company called Tourism Ireland. And Tourism Brand Ireland developed into three concepts really. It was all about the people, the culture and the place. They were the things that resonated most in the mind of international consumers when they thought of Ireland, and they were the levers that Tourism Ireland started to pull in terms of motivating people to come to the island. That's been modified every year. We evolve the brand. We've done it 4 times over the last 12 years. And the people, place, and culture, along with a lot of research done in the international marketplace, has evolved into the unique island of character and characters. And that's what Ireland is all about at the end of the day. It is an island of character with a very, very long history. But there's lots of very interesting characters as well. And there's lots of journeys that you can take when you get there. And the concept of go where Ireland takes you, that you can arrive and you'll go off the beaten track and meet very interesting people that will take you on journeys that you never thought you were going to go on in the first place. What I just have are a couple of materials. I'll just show you how it's expressed. I'm crossing my fingers, hoping that technology is going to work on this, and if it doesn't, I'll have to talk my way through it. The first bit is a video called Go Videos. We do produce TV advertising, which I'll show you very shortly, but we decided in the explosion in the web over the last number of years, authenticity was really important. There's an element of people out there who just don't buy into the big brand advertising. So what we did was we put an advertisement out to people to come forward to tell their story about Ireland. We provided a crew, but they gave the script, and they were genuine characters telling their stories. So here's one that we found, which, fingers crossed, is going to... Do you have sound? I can't do it as well as this guy, so I'm not going to try and recreate his voice. But this was a character called Porrick. Okay. Yeah.
I'm Porrick, and if you come with me, I'll show you my hidden Connemara. Come with me. I'm bringing you to the hidden Ireland. People never see these places. People think that these places don't exist. No one knows about this. You found it out from me. This is the Coral Strand in Carraroe, in the heart of Connemara. This is the jewel of Galway. This is where I was born. I roamed in every field that's down there. I walked them shores. Come and visit me soon.
That's just a 30-second clip of what is a 10-minute video, and we've done 17 of those with different characters. But the average length of stay on those videos is 3 minutes, whereas with many issues on the web, you've got people coming in and going out perhaps only in 10, 20 seconds. So what it's delivering is customer engagement. And that's what we're trying to do, is to get people engaged in what Ireland is about. Next week, for those of you who aren't aware, is St. Patrick's Day. So very happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. I'm a bit early. And what we've been doing around the world is greening iconic buildings. So we've got the London Eye, the Empire State Building, Table Mountain in South Africa, the Sky Tower in Auckland. I couldn't fit them all in. I haven't mentioned it publicly yet, but believe it or not, the Moulin Rouge in Paris is going to go green as well. It'll become the Moulin Vert for the day. But again, it's just trying to leverage on something that doesn't cost us any money, by the way. It's just a symbol for the affection with which Ireland is held around the world. You can get all these things done. It resonates with the Irish brand very strong, and people like it. It makes them feel good. The next bit is a TV advertisement, which was produced a number of years ago. This is running in Britain at the moment on ITV and Channel 4 and Channel 5. And again, what it's doing is, dramatic scenery. It's using a little bit of humour as well to tell a story about people who have come to Ireland, and it just places them in different situations.
Ireland, an ancient land steeped in thousands of years of history. First discovered by Alistair Wood. Just this morning. The Dingle Peninsula was discovered on horseback by dentist Malcolm Evans. And it was in this very restaurant in Belfast that Claire Griffin discovered Guinness. Discover your very own Ireland at discoverireland.com.
So the idea of discovery, it's your very own Ireland. And it's engaging, it's warm, it's friendly, places overseas people in Irish situations. and there's really something unique and new for everybody. The next one, I think, is for those German people in the audience. What's running on Germany at the moment, which has been hugely successful.
Eigentlich ist es von Dublin City bis zur berühmten Guinness-Brauerei überhaupt nicht weit. Es sei denn, Sie lassen sich auf eine Reise in die Vielfalt Irlands ein. Und entdecken magische Orte voller Mythen und Legenden, wie das geheimnisvolle Kloster von Glendalough. Dann könnte es etwas länger dauern.
Lass dich von Irland verzaubern. Mehr unter entdeckerirland.de.
That was a television advertisement which ran in Germany. We went on national television in Germany last year for the first time. And during that particular week, web visits were up 500%. And it generated enormous traffic into airline websites as well. So, again, it's tapping into consumer sentiment towards Ireland. The Go Where Ireland Takes You message been very strong, the brand been very well represented. And the last thing I'm going to just play is a radio advertisement which is playing at the moment in North America for all you Americans in the audience.
Ireland invites you to the Gulfibber Fiddler of a lifetime. Befuddled by Gulfibber Fiddler? I'll explain. It's what begins with a lively round of golf at Ballybunion and turns into an even livelier round at Belfast's Fibber McGee's, where the fiddler plays on 4 strings, 2 feet and occasionally someone's shoulders. Golf, Fibber McGee's, Fiddler. Gulfibber Fiddler. An easy word to stumble over and an Ireland easy to stumble into. So take a vacation from the typical vacation. DiscoverIreland.com.
Find great value vacation offers at discoverireland.com.
So just an example of advertising that went out to 177 million Americans last week, and that'll run all the way through March, April. And again, it's just an example of different mediums that we use. You see an example of television, radio, and web. Impossible to show you everything, but it's just a flavour of what we do. So it's trying to use a twist of humour, consistent brand message, tapping into consumer sentiment towards Ireland. Things went very well for Irish tourism in the first sort of 7 years since 2000. Visitor numbers were 6.7 million in 2000. They rose to 9 million by 2007. But the international recession bit extremely hard to tourism countries, but particularly to Ireland. And I'll just talk about a couple of the issues that involved. The British market accounts for half our visitors. And as we all know, for those of you who are from Britain or have any connections with it, Britain is experiencing a difficult economic climate itself. And we saw a decline in the number of visitors from Britain of 5 million down to 3.5. That had a dramatic impact on Ireland. The economic situation in Britain has had a big impact on tourism to Ireland. Consumer confidence in Britain is absolutely vital if tourism is to go back to positive numbers. And you can see this is the nationwide consumer confidence index in the UK through the course of 2010. And ironically, it actually peaked a year ago in February and has been on the decline ever since. And it bottomed out there between October and November when George Osborne was producing a statement which brought in many cuts to try and deal with the significant deficit. So if we want to see the outbound market from Britain increasing, we're going to need to see a return to consumer confidence. The other big issue as well, from an Irish perspective, is air access. 85% of people who come to Ireland come by air. The only other way is to get here is by sea. And you can see during the summer of 2008, if you just look at the orange line, which is the bigger one, what that's telling us is that there were 500,000 seats every week coming into Ireland from every market, 500,000 a week. By the summer of 2010, that was down to 425,000. So it's hard to get there. 75,000 decline. That was a function of a number of things, obviously reduced demand and the economic climate. And secondly then, airlines were losing a lot of money and decided to consolidate a lot of routes. I'm sure you've had experiences in your own country of that. You can see the winter schedule is even more difficult. That peaked at 460,000 seats per week in the summer of 2007. And by this winter of 2010 is at 330,000, a significant decline. So working with airlines like Ryanair and Aer Lingus, who are vital to us, we need to increase the availability of air access into Ireland. Another area which is important for us as well is our reputation, which we're very conscious of. And many of you have read stories about the economic climate of Ireland around the world in terms of the banking situation and the economic climate. And it's not just Ireland, it's tied into Greece and there's Portugal and Spain. And a lot of it's centred around the confidence and future of the euro. This is a story that broke maybe 4 months ago. And there's been many headlines out there, we all feel, sometimes maybe for the wrong reasons. And what we did was we decided to say, well, hold on a second. whereas at home people are maybe worrying a little bit that this is going to impact on people's impressions, would it impact on people's travel patterns? In other words, if you start to read bad news about a country, what is it the motivator that makes you go there on holidays? So what we did was we just sort of started to ask the question, what now for Tourism Ireland? Does this impact on the brand? Does this mean we have to change everything that we do? Do we have to change the approach? And our approach generally tends to be fairly systematic. So we decided to go to the US market and we do some research to see, well, what are people saying? Now, I won't flick through every single one of these slides. There's quite a lot of detail in it. But essentially, the objective here was really to measure the scale of and understand if there was any impact arising from the economic crisis in Ireland and Europe on travel patterns. And we also wanted to look at the impact on brand positioning, on wider value for money and security perceptions also. So the headline findings here, we interviewed 1,000 people within our target market. About half of them were outbound travellers with an intent to visit Ireland in the next number of years. So they're very much within our target segment. The interesting thing was 82% of people had said they hadn't heard any negative media coverage about Ireland at all. So our perception at home was that 80% of people had read things, and this is probably going to impact on their travel. But this is the value of research. A significant majority of outbound travellers, 77%, felt that the coverage would have no impact on their travel plans whatsoever. And those who had negative views felt that they might have a positive impact, because Ireland had got a reputation for being expensive for a few years, and that people felt that actually maybe we're going to get better value for money. So it's ironic what it is in terms of the information that people retain, how they process it, and how it impacts on their decision making. We found that the interest in visiting is still very high amongst US visitors. 60% in our surveys last year. This one was 59, not statistically significant. So 74% of outbound travellers said that they're going to visit Ireland sometime in the next number of years. The other interesting thing was interest tended to be highest amongst those aged 18 to 34. So something is happening in the American market at the moment. Traditionally, it's been the 45-plus segment that's been the strongest for us. But now there's a younger age group that have heard more about Ireland that are interested in travelling, 71%. And those earning over $50,000 a year, 65%. So all of a sudden, there's some interesting insights. 18% of people said they had heard something negative. And outbound travellers were more likely to have heard something negative. TV was the main source of information, 18%, and the internet, 13%. And the 18 to 34-year-olds seem to be a bit more informed. So, summing it up, changing attitudes and perceptions, what we asked them were a few simple questions, 5 questions. Would Ireland still be fun and engaging to visit despite all that negative coverage? Yeah. Could I get great value for money? 65%, yeah. The problems within the economy will not impact on my vacation? 67% agreeing. The Irish people will welcome tourists more than ever, given their dependence on tourism, 3/4 saying yes, and will still offer a safe and secure holiday experience, 63%. So still all relatively positive. Conclusions, interest remains very high. Majority feel that negative news would not impact on their plans. The news is relatively balanced. You're not going to get 100%. I mean, if you're in 60, 70, 80%, that's good territory. Safety and security is an interesting one. One thing that we did pick up from research was that when we looked at what was happening in Greece last year, riots in Athens did cause an impact in relation to travel plans. We had this issue in Northern Ireland before as well. Perceptions of safety and security are paramount for the international traveller. It was one of the biggest things from a Northern Ireland perspective in relation to people's intentions to travel. Perceptions of safety and security in Northern Ireland have improved greatly over the last number of years. We still have a little way to go because those things take a while for people to process out of their mind. The other conclusions is that Ireland represents better value for money. There is an opportunity to harness any publicity. There's a higher awareness amongst people than we had expected. And there's mixed impact of negative coverage. It's not all bad. So that was interesting. Here's the good news as well. New channels. I showed you web. I showed you TV. This is one that our board talked about last week. And our board are more or less in the older category, so to speak. But here's a new and emerging channel, which we're really tapping into. We now actually have 250,000 fans since I put this slide together. And if Ireland was a country on Facebook, we'd be the 5th biggest in the world. Australia, I think, is the biggest at 1.4 million. And we're going to be the 2nd biggest very soon. And this is a wonderful channel from a brand perspective. The conversations that we're generating by feeding content into this every day. And when I look at the conversations about it, if I wake up feeling bad, I just go into Facebook and have a look at what people are saying about Ireland. It makes me feel much better. Guarantee you. it's just getting us into a new audience. Facebook now is bigger than Google in the United States. The other thing that we have to sort of remember as well, interest in visiting Ireland, very strong. Our 4 biggest markets deliver 75% of the visitors. Interest in visiting amongst Great Britain, 64, United States, 60, France, 58, Germany, 68. So it's a very strong position to be in, and that's what a lot of the marketing is designed to tap into, to convert that interest into actual travel. The other thing that we take comfort in as well in the recent report by the World Economic Forum, we have a mixed picture in relation to our overall tourism offering, so to speak. But in terms of branding and marketing, we were ranked 10th in the world, which is a good place to be for a very small island way out there on the periphery of Europe. But that just gives you sort of some insight into what we do, how we do it. And I think the key message for us is that the brand proposition is always going to be under attack from something. And I think the key thing for us is that you don't panic, you don't change direction just because you instinctively feel it might be the right thing to do. I think it must be underpinned by research. It must be underpinned by consumer sentiment and what the consumer is thinking out there. And that's one of the key challenges we've always have. We have an industry that's very hungry to deliver more business and are looking at that now, today and tomorrow. But as I said, the brand is something that's been developing over 250 years and is going to be here in 250 years' time. So our job, what we have the role here, is to nurture it. And I think what I'll just do is finish off on a sort of a video. If you haven't been to Ireland and you wonder what is it all about really, I'll just play this and it'll just give you a little bit of a sense. It just lasts about a minute and a half. Okay. If that doesn't make you feel like coming, I'm going to have to give up, I'm afraid, okay?
Thank you very, very much. I think we're all awake now after the video. So please, questions or comments for Mr. Gibbons in the back. Okay.
Hi, my name is Arabella. I was actually just going to ask you, the last video that you showed, is that typically disseminated via the web, or is that a commercial that you've been using? And on top of that, which mediums have you found to be the most successful versus radio, TV, web?
Well, first of all, that particular video was only produced about 10 days ago. So it was produced more as a corporate piece than anything else for events like this. It's actually a montage of a lot of advertising and pieces that we've done over the years. But there's a fairly good soundtrack to it that's pretty pulsating, and we put all the corporate facts up there. And what we're starting to find is that from a viral perspective, it's now traveling all the way around the world, and we're getting huge positive feedback for it. So we're starting to play it at every event we're going to, and there's a great feel-good factor to it all. In relation to what channels do we find most effective, it depends on what market we're in, is the honest answer. For somewhere like Britain, it's our biggest market. It's 50% of our visitors and about nearly 40% of all our revenue. And we will be present on most channels. Television is the largest medium that we would use there because it just reaches the big numbers. I mean, it depends on the investment that you're going to put in, or you're going to get the TV rating points, etc. So television will be by far the most effective medium in terms of generating interest. Okay, but what the television is designed to do primarily is actually move them to the web. And from the web there, it's a free platform. We give links to any business which will link into us. We don't have a booking engine on the web. That was there 10 years ago. And we decided we're not getting into a closed system, having a closed shop, so to speak. So what we say to all the 18,000 enterprises in Ireland is that there is a free platform that we will build for you. And 40% of all our traffic on our website goes on to third-party sites, and they have all their own booking engines. So whether it's accommodation, attraction, activities, events, they're all there. We try and make it exciting. We do research on it, and we try and change it as much as we can. The biggest difficulty we have probably is actually keeping up to date with the changes that are there, because the platforms we built for our website were there before YouTube came, and this space is moving so fast. Within North America, at the moment, we find radio a very effective medium. It gets huge reach. We get very good feedback in relation to it. But by and large, if you take TV, web, radio, that they reach huge audiences, and they do a great job. But from our perspective, tourism is all about people. And you cannot discount the power of positive word of mouth. So we do a huge amount of trade shows. We do an enormous amount of publicity. We bring probably 1,500 journalists into Ireland every year. If we were to buy the advertising space, it would cost 230 million. It's $250 million last year. That's everything from the likes of the NBC Today Show, BBC, Peking Daily, from all over the world. And that's probably the best return on investment we get in terms of how much money we get into it from what we actually get out of it. So it's a bit of a long-winded answer.
Other questions? Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Julianne. I'm from the United States and Ireland. I went to UCC. My parents are from Cork.
Excellent.
My question is Britain also advertising Northern Ireland as a destination, or has Ireland taken on the responsibility? And if so, is there some sort of, politics behind that?
Well, the politics behind it all was the Good Friday Agreement. So the idea was to set up Tourism Ireland as a company that would market Ireland overseas as a tourism destination, including in Britain. So within Britain, we market the island of Ireland. And most of, the vast majority of the advertising is for Ireland. But you will find that in certain places closer to Northern Ireland, like Scotland, there will be a sort of a closer both to diaspora connection and there will be closer access connections as well. So using the term Northern Ireland, you will find in places in the north of England and Scotland would resonate better. But primarily the island of Ireland is the key message. But it's one unified message, go where Ireland takes you.
But is Britain promoting Northern Ireland as one of their own, or has the Republic taken on that role?
Well, that's a very interesting question. This is where the politics of Ireland gets interesting. I can't give you a yes answer or a no answer. It's sort of in between. No, Visit Britain, which, as you know, is the body which promotes Britain overseas. Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, so they do a limited amount of work, on the web. But we are the primary agency in relation to it. Yeah. So I mean, it is. You'll find it on the website for Visit Britain. You will find Northern Ireland there. You will find the 6 counties and all the things to do and see and that. But that's probably about the size of it. I mean, they wouldn't do promotions overseas for Northern Ireland.
Okay, final question.
Hello, my name is Justina. I'm undergraduate student in University of Greenwich in London. I originally come from Poland. I've been to Ireland twice, visited Dublin, climbed Croagh-Patrick, went on a drive around West Coast, so it's absolutely amazing. I adore cider, so full on that. My question is from a bit more kind of economic perspective and tackling in the issues which are quite vital for graduates in, well, it's issue in UK, I suppose it's similar climate in Ireland as well. How is, because I understood from the last video that it's like tackling very much issue of giving jobs and promoting tourism as the sector for creating jobs. So my question is, like, with the current economic issues that Ireland is facing, how is future looking for graduates, and what sort of possibilities student community would have afterwards in Ireland?
Okay. The future is looking much brighter. That's the good news. We had 2 years of sustained declines in tourism, but in the final quarter of 2010, we saw increases from the United States, Canada of 13%, France was up 24%, Germany up 3%, Netherlands, Nordics were up double digits. So there's certainly a turn taking place. And the trend going to like ITB, and I was at BIT in Milan recently, and Fitur, the sentiment is actually pretty positive. We are working with airlines to try and get a breakthrough from an access perspective as well. And the targets are there now to increase the number of tourists to Ireland between now and 2015 by a pretty substantial number, and which is expected to create in the region of 20,000 jobs. So we feel that we've come through the worst of the economic situation. I think the Irish government recognises that tourism is going to be one of the big drivers of economic recovery, and it's in a position to create jobs more quickly maybe than other industries. So I would say that things are looking brighter now, and between now and 2015 the target is to create another 20,000 jobs in the sector. So that should be good for the graduate community. Okay.
Mr. Gibbons, I'd like to thank you very, very much for the presentation, and in particular the video that you just showed. I think we're all enthusiastic now about Ireland. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.